Good morning, campers. Let's do a reading. I want to tap into a specific collective today because I was thinking about this collective as I woke up, and we had a bit of a intense reading last time. So I want to check. It was coming to my mind, what are you not seeing, right? Because this collective, you're in this moment of life, this really important moment, switch of, physical karma to spiritual karma. You're closing some contracts. So let's tap into those contracts, those patterns that you're repeating, particularly in love, and you're not maybe seeing. We're going to start from seeing how you're feeling, so this is your collective. So before we start, take a deep breath. Think about how you're feeling, and if that does not resonate exactly, it means that this is not your collective. You can try another day. I have many collectives. You can also, I color code my collective, so you can also check the previous reading and see if that's the one that maybe, resonated. All right, how is this collective feeling today? How is this collective feeling as you're watching this video? Caution, disruption, lots going on. This would sort of make sense thinking about the last reading we had. 2 more for your first row. Woo! Hold on, I'll pick it up. All right, we have caution as your first card. We have disruption. What fell on the floor is magic, and we have anger. What I'm getting with this and what I'm hearing, you guys, that last time we talked about how you are realizing, right, that you didn't see certain connections properly, that you were in a place of anxiety, in a place of codependency, wanting love. You were trying to find that love, and you were finding it with the wrong partners. I mean, there's never a wrong partner, but partners that weren't true soul connections. But they were meant to teach you a lesson, to break a pattern that you couldn't break. So that collective, you would have realized that. Right? And when we realize something like that, we hit that moment. I think I've mentioned this to you in a previous reading. People tend to go 2 ways when they realize they've been so wrong about many things on the level of a mind. They either go into a complete denial. They will never admit that they were wrong. They will continue to be wrong. They will completely deny it, which means that they will stay forever on a level of their physical karma and never learn their lessons that they wanted to learn, their soul wanted to learn in this lifetime. Or you accept that you were wrong, and you will start to figure out what can you do about it, right? What can you do about it? Because there's a spectrum of things that we can do about it, and there's a spectrum of how we can actually learn our lessons. And I feel this collective, you definitely don't want to be in denial. You want to admit that. But when we start to admit that, there's a moment of like we start to be cautious with everything. Literally, our entire life is disrupted. It's like we're being introduced to a whole new world, especially if it's spirituality, and we have that magic as well. So maybe you recently started seeing signs, synchronicities, maybe you recently been introduced. It's like it's being thrown at us. And I always say this because sometimes people, they see tarot readers on their social media, or they hear about spirituality. If it's irrelevant, if they're not ready, they will just scroll. If you constantly see it, if you put your attention to it, it means that there's something in it that your guides want you to do about it. Now the question is, what are you going to do, and when are you going to do the thing that they actually are guiding you towards? But that introduction to the world of truth, karma, soul connections, lessons, right? Life lessons, karmic contracts. It can be quite brutal. It can be quite disruptive. It can cause that disruption in our life. It can cause us to suddenly analyze every single relationship that we had. Was this a soulmate? Was this a karmic connection? Why did I think that? Why did I think that it was that soulmate, right? So I feel like you would be proceeding quite right now with caution. You would want to proceed with caution. I am sensing a bit of a confusion as well. With that anger, to be honest, I feel you are at that stage when you're angry with yourself. You shouldn't, because everything happens for a reason. However, whatever emotion, and I teach you guys that, whatever emotion we're feeling, I'm going to say this again, and I say this all the time. Denial is the biggest enemy of growth. If we are denying what we're feeling, if we're denying what's happening inside of us, if we're denying things that we are realizing, we're never going to grow, right? So if you feel angry, the right thing to do is to actually feel that anger and go deeper on that anger. Why am I feeling angry? Who am I really angry with? Because our emotions, I always say this to you guys, emotions and shadow, especially shadow emotions, are tricksters. They love to disguise themselves for something that they're not. And 90% of time, when we feel a certain way, we're confused and we're projecting. So if you feel, I feel you, whether you realize that or not, you would be angry towards yourself. You may have moment that you're angry still towards your exes. You may have moment, we have ghost at the bottom of the deck, and reflection. You may have moment when you feel angry towards the world, that's how it works. But ultimately, anger always goes back to us. And anger is a byproduct of unhealed heart, of unhealed grief oftentimes. So we really have to heal the heart, purge the heart, allow the heart to purge all of the emotions, all of the feelings. So don't deny it, just feel it and try to sit on it. Where do you feel it in your body? I always explain this to you guys as well. Where do we feel it in our body? Links to our energy point, right? So if you have trouble breathing, you have that anxiety, it links to your heart chakra. Right? If you are starting to like purge around your throat area, or whether that's your womb area, where do you feel that anger in your body? Let's do another roll. Caution. Intuition. I feel like this collective, you maybe thought that your intuition was on point, and I also movement. And I oftentimes as well try to explain this to you guys, right? Because I sometimes hear these ridiculous opinions online. I mean, there's a level of ridiculousness that's not that ridiculous, because it's partially true, but people misunderstand it, right? So many people say, you don't need a healer, you don't need a therapist, you don't need a reader. We all carry answers within. There's an inner guru within us, that knows it all. Yes, it's true. There's the inner guru within us, our spirit, right? That through passion, through intuition, is always connected to our oversoul, that knows the way, that knows the answers, that knows the path. However, people who are wounded, they don't know how to listen to their intuition. It's that trickster energy that I mentioned to you guys. Oftentimes, we can be either, let's say you feel something in your intuition and you think that you don't want to do it because your intuition is saying you that it's not the right thing. It might not actually be your intuition, it might actually be your fear. And sometimes you say that in your intuition you thought that this was your soulmate, right? But it wasn't your intuition. It was your shadows, it was your longing, it was your lack, it was the fact that you didn't have any kind of love inside of you, so you were looking at it externally, right? So it's easy to say that we have all the answers within, but most of us don't know how to tap deeper within. 90% of people, they don't even understand how they're feeling. They don't even understand that, anger is not passion, that, avoidance is not healthy boundaries. You guys, I always say these things. It's such a complicated, world, the world of our inner world and the world of our emotions. Once we understand it, it's really simple. And yes, we do have all the answers, but on the way, we need someone that will guide us a little bit and challenge us a little bit. And this is where healers and spiritual teachers exist. But I feel like this collective, you would be realizing that in the past, maybe you actually have that reflection. Because I find that many people, when they fall into denial, right, the moment they break up a relationship that maybe was very abruptive or abusive or hurtful or full of turmoil and toxicity, right, they throw that anger, that hate, that pain, project it on that person, saying this was an evil person, a narcissist, they never understood me, da 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 da. And then they go ahead and throw themselves into a next relationship, and suddenly the next person is amazing. We have this connection, we have this bond, and they treat me so well, like my ex never treated me. And they forgetting that the day they met that evil narcissistic ex, they would say the exact same thing about this person. That no one understood me this way, right? So I see this all the time, you guys, all the time, in people who refuse to do inner work, who refuse to stay on their own, to stay truly single, to start to love themselves, to tap into their wounds and their shadows, because it is hard work. It's hard work. And many people don't, well, most people, all people don't do that in their first lifetime. It requires maturity of the soul to be able to do that, right? And especially in these days where, you know, internet is so full of this, you know, shallow level sprinkle on top of kind of spirituality. Burn some sage and say some cliche, you know, manifestation statement, and there you go, you're spiritual, because you've seen that it's 11:11 on your clock. It's not what spirituality is about. Spirituality is about connecting to 111 on the clock. It's connecting to, maybe you know those people, you were that person, connecting to your spirit, connecting deeply to your spirit, doing that inner work, standing in a side of light, being independent, sovereign being of light, someone who is good, who is kind, who is forgiving, right? Who has impact on this world. It's not about burning sage. And I feel that this collective, you're realizing that. You would be thinking about that pattern. There's a reason that came to my mind, that maybe in the past you would feel that this is it, this is the person. Why did I feel that? You would ask yourself, why did I really feel this in my intuition, that this was it, that this was the person, and now I know it wasn't? How do I not make that mistake again, right? So it's a complicated thing. It's a very individual. That's why we're going to tap into your blockages and your contracts that you may be not seeing. What are you not seeing? However, what I can say to you, that in order not to make that mistake, we require healing. We require healing, because when we are in our place of light, when we find our center, when we find our authentic self, when we heal our wounds, when we integrate our shadows, when we find wholeness, you won't need no spiritualist nor psychic to tell you that this is your true soul connection. You will know that. You will understand that sometimes as well you need a couple of weeks, months to feel into a relationship with someone, because we still can, you know, be bound by certain shadows, but ultimately you will always know yourself. You won't be lying to yourself, because we lie to ourselves when we come from a place of lack, right? We want to be wanted, we want to be desired, we want people to want to be in relationship with us, we want that relationship, we want that love. So a minimum connection that we feel to someone, that may be soul contract, we jump into the relationship. And once we jump into intimacy, into, you know, it creates certain chemistry within our body, and our body gets confused, and then the mind cannot properly communicate with the body, because the ego has already taken over. That's why I always say to you guys as well, that we should not jump into any kind of intimacy with someone that we've recently met, because we're gonna get confused. This is how our bodies operate, especially for women, that you'll try to make up for the fact that you've committed a mistake and you've given your sacral energy to a random guy. So now you're going to try to convince yourself that you've done that because he's a true soul connection, right? I'm going to tell you, because it's coming to my mind, my sacred clearance program. I have a 6 months program to truly like a self kind of a work, but it includes sessions as well. You can check that out on my website. I feel like this is exactly something like, if not that, something else maybe that someone else offers. It's something that this collective you would really need. We have ideation. And we have balance, and we have cleanse. That's good. That's real. This is my longing card at the bottom of the deck. All right, so you would realize, this collective, this would be heavy on your mind, that you've made some mistakes in the past when it comes to love. Your world has recently been sort of turned upside down when it comes to certain things, spirituality, certain ideas, certain concepts that you've heard, they resonate. You're not necessarily understanding them fully just yet. There's a little bit of confusion, there's a little bit of loss, there's a little bit of excitement. You are struggling with that anger, but I love that you have balance and you have clearance at the top of that. So there's a reason I said to you that you have to feel it. You have to feel it to release it. So feel that anger, be angry, journal, scream, whatever is it that you need to do. This anger will lead you towards where you need to go. Emotions are a compass on a journey of healing and shadow work. All right, let's tap a little bit into your energy before we tap into those soul contracts. So your overall energy right now, your inner state of being, Seven of Swords in reverse. I'm sensing that this is exactly what we mentioned, you guys. You are realizing, this collective, that you have been deceiving yourself, that you have been, I'm hearing as well, acting on an autopilot. You would realize that there must be woundings and patterns within you that push you to attract certain, you know how people always say that, why do I attract this type of partner always? Well, the key word here is you attract. You attract. It's not like we have bad luck. It's not like we have bad luck, right? I don't attract these partners. And I always say this to these people, like, this is not my experience, this is not my reality. I don't attract men, even when we talk about, you know, friendships and having people around you. I don't attract men that lie, that cheat. Why? It's not that they're not there. It's just that when you truly have your standards here, the moment you hear someone say, either that's about you or someone else, like, I'm not here about commitment, like, well, let's see where this is going. Garbage. It's going to garbage, right? So it's never bad luck. It's us. It's us that go that road. It's us that attract those partners. And you would be realizing that. This awakening to the fact that you've been deceiving yourself, which is beautiful. It can only get better from here. Eight of Cups, another great energy. It means that you are ready to move on. You are ready to leave certain things behind. I feel like this collective, you don't necessarily just yet know what is that. Okay, we have two wands. Maybe you are a fire sign. You would realize right now, okay, that you are on a new path, on a new journey. Yes, I was sensing in your energy that there's a little bit of confusion, a little bit of I don't know what to do, but there's a part of you that feels excited and happy and proud as well. I'm hearing that you figured it out, that you have awakened, that now you know. I feel this collective, you have hope that because of that, you're gonna be wiser, and you're gonna be wiser, right? Maybe you will still have to learn certain harsh lessons on the way. We never really know. It depends how we're gonna approach the journey, how much dedication, how much work, with how much patience we're gonna put into this journey. But right now, I feel like you're very much excited about it. Actually, you would believe, this collective, that because you have awakened and because you have realized that you have been deceiving yourself, you have been making those mistakes, you have been attracting the right partners, and you have the willingness to change and to walk away, confirmation, you're excited about that, which is nice. Okay, we have Judgment in reverse. And willing to learn karmic lessons. Yowza. Okay, hold on. Yikes, I actually want to say Page of Cups in reverse. It's some tough love coming, so brace yourself, but there's some good energy as well. Okay. 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 There is, in this collective, you carry the energy of the divine feminine, right? I'm hearing that it was part of your path in this lifetime to understand and to walk the path of divine feminine. If you don't know what that truly means, you can go to my website. There's a divine love section, and there's a lot of information about divine flow, divine feminine, divine masculine, the qualities, what it really means. But it's basically, you know, finding your way back to your femininity, to what femininity truly means. But I keep hearing that it comes with respecting, and, you know, true divine feminine is a gatekeeper. So maybe you do need to change your mindset about, you know, sexuality, about what sexual freedom means, because this is a concept that is deeply misunderstood. Sexual freedom doesn't mean that we should sleep around and sleep with whoever. It's against divine law to sleep with anyone who isn't our soul connection, especially when we are already in realization that such thing as karmic partners exist. Right? So maybe you should consider really cleansing your sacral, really connecting to your sacral, to your womb, to the femininity within. But you carry that energy. You have that energy within you. However, I feel it's like you realize already that you've been lying to yourself, but there are still certain things that you're not seeing clearly. There's certain things you're not facing. There's a reason I've mentioned shallow level spirituality, and I don't think this collective, it's like intentionally that you want to be that, you know, follow that path, but be very careful, because many people, they have some sort of a willingness to do better, to change their ways, to, you know, everyone wants to be aligned with a soulmate, but there's so much nonsense online. Spirituality, it's not just following spiritual accounts, it's not just saying, you know, 111 on the clock, like I said. It's actual deep inner work, shadow work, improvement, and it's a journey that is hard. It's full of pain, and it's full of tears in the beginning. It's realizing our karmic connections. It's facing them, not just knowing, okay, this was a karmic past, but what was this trying to teach me? What this past relationship was trying to teach me? What this, if you're not ready for this, just coming to my mind, if you're not ready for this 6 months cleanse journey that I have, I also have a aligning with your soulmate masterclass, soulmate attunement. I don't remember what's it called. It's on my website in masterclasses or in something like that section. You'll find it. If you can't find it, you can always drop me a message. And it is an attunement and an introduction to shadow work in terms of releasing the past, aligning, and understanding how do we magnetize that soulmate. And I think that although you understand that you've been making mistakes, you are a little bit naive, I'm feeling, when it comes to how that journey of spirituality will look like. It will not just be going to a Kundalini yoga, God forbid, okay? This is my universal truth, my personal truth, right? You do you. Maybe there's a reason it came to my mind. Kundalini energy is not to be played with. Okay, someone who's never done shadow work, never done inner work, never went deeper, never actually dedicated, they should not even go near the word Kundalini. It's the potent life force energy that only gets awakened within few chosen people who are ready in that specific lifetime to walk Christ consciousness, to really connect to the divine. This is, whoever had Kundalini awakening, those people, we end up as psychic mediums, as spiritual teachers. We live a life of service. We walk a very specific path. It's such a misunderstood topic. I also have done a lot of content about it. I've done raw sessions about it. There's 2 types of awakening, and I've also done a video about this. Most people, what they call awakening, it's just, they're spiritually aware. They somehow their body is awakening to the truth of life, which is beautiful, but it's far away from Kundalini awakening. So don't be tempted. This is why I say this to this collective. You need real raw work, shadow work, looking inwards, focusing on you. So maybe you are still a little bit naive. Maybe you think that you're going to sign up for a breathwork sessions and sound bath sessions and kundalini yoga, and some sort of a new age spiritualist, spiritual teacher will tell you some nonsense, very individual. No work, you guys. Yes, it's great if someone is, attracted to it, to be part of these communities, to do workshops. But when you do these things, you really have to make sure that you know who's holding space for you. And my universal truth, these workshops, these whatever workshops you're doing, even, the tools my tools are a little bit different because they focus on that harsh love, right? But real work truly, it is done on sessions. Some of us will need 3 sessions, some of us will need 3,000. Who knows? But all these things like workshop tools, attunements, yoga, and sound baths, they're accessories. Right? It's something that can be very helpful as long as you do the work. But I think that you are being a little bit naive at this point, this collective. You think that, so don't fall into that trap, right? Don't fall into that trap, because many people, there's a level how you get out of your denial. And many people who stay really on that denial, but they convince themselves that no, I've awakened, right? Because I went to this tarot reading once, and then I went to this yoga class, and I burned sage, right? And I know that my ex was karmic. It's not enough, you guys. It's not enough to really change why you had that karmic contract with your ex. You really have to dive into every relationship, but this is what that soulmate class sort of teaches you to do. So if you're still intimidated to start with sessions, it's a great start, right? But you have to, spirituality is about mindfulness, contemplation, self-reflection, about you, about nature of human beings, about your soul contract, about meaning of life. It's not breathwork and yoga. Again, beautiful things, but accessories. And we have that Queen of Swords. So I feel like you're still in this energy. You know how people are in where you are, that they start to realize certain things, and we have that caution and that disruption energy, that you're still now in this energy of like, no, like you maybe, I don't want to trigger you, but maybe some of you are even in this moment like, like when we start to dive into spirituality, we start to talk about, certain shadows, wounds, abandonments, father wound, mother wound. It's like you want to examine everyone, and you want to, what's the word? Sorry. You want to diagnose everyone. And instead of looking towards yourself, now you're suddenly like, no, I'm not going to go out with this man because he has mother issues, and I'm not going to because he's rejection trauma, because he's avoidant, he's ghosting me. Spirituality is not about, again, what do I always say to you guys? That finger is all you need to embark on a journey of spirituality. And the direction that the finger needs to be pointing is this. Me. On a true journey of shadow work and spirituality, we never focus on the other person. Why they were cruel, they have mommy issues. Whatever they have, it doesn't matter. Why you attracted that? Why you accepted that? I always, if you come to me on sessions, you would know that I probably told you to I love this exercise, and it's beautiful exercise. Imagine for the next week, every day, remind this to yourself in the morning, don't look at people as people, look at them as mirrors. So when someone makes you feel, people don't have the power to make us feel. They awaken and mirror the feeling that exists within us. Whether that's a neighbor or an ex-partner or whatever has awakened within us, it's within us. It's not them. They cannot throw emotion at us. They can do something that anyone else could do, so it's not within them personally, that will trigger that emotion within us. Do you know what I mean? So be careful not to fall into that trap. All right. Let's do some shadow work. Let's see what is it that your guides are wanting you to work on, and then we're going to tap into what is it that you're not seeing in terms of your soul contracts, patterns. Release fear. One more. All right. I have a lot of releasing. All right, my sweet, sweet, sweet soul. You have released fear. This is number 5. Fear is what keeps us in denial. Fear is what keeps us on a shallow level, because it is difficult